How's it going? Welcome to Petrol Media Inc. My name is Terrence Anderson, and for the longest, I've dreamt about having this kind of setup at the house. And finally, I have it. Now, I promised that I was going to do a studio tour after I revealed that I got the MPC 5000 and the 1000. Now, arguably, the room is not 100% set up the way I want it to be, and I'm not even going to sit here and say it's soundproof because the space that I have is not the most ideal when it comes to recording environments, but I do know how to work around all of that. And most of the time, I use the speakers for referencing and the headphones to mix in because that's just the nature of things nowadays. I have a family and they can't have me blaring things loud in the house, but I'm so happy that I finally have this configured in the house. Eventually, I will show you the whole space, but right now it's a bit of a mess because not only do I do music production, but I also sell drone frames. I co-own a frame manufacturing company called Ground Control FPV. We actually create the carbon fiber bits and some of the metal bits that we sell that people can customize and add motors, flight controllers, ESCs, cameras, the whole nine. This is actually one of our biggest ones, a 7-inch drone. You see how big it is compared to my head. And it has a GoPro right up on the front. And this thing is a beast. This is a cruiser, but today is not what we're talking. This is not what we're talking about today. That the space is also filled with drone stuff all over it. So I have like my couch behind me, well, in front of me right now, and it has nothing but drones on it. So I'm not going to turn around and show you that because y'all don't need to see that right now. Now, why the Midas? The Midas console is nice because I get 32 channels of ins and 32 channels of out. Now, for the most part, I'm not that concerned with the out, mainly because I'm really just recording it into the box. Why I have so many inputs is because I run the outputs of the MPC 5000 into the Midas through the sound cards, which we'll get to those in just a moment, and into Logic Pro. Now, the way this works for me is that I have all these extra channels, and what am I gonna do with all those extra channels? I'm probably gonna add some devices. Now, when you're doing sound design, you can totally do all of this in the box. And I have a ton of stuff to add in the box. There's something about having the analog feel going through a console and bringing it into the audio interface. And it does magic to it. I swear to God, it always does magic to it. Every time I've used any kind of analog interface scenario, the audio always sounds better. And granted, when it gets into the box, I'm now in a digital domain, but I've already encoded all of that richness into the sound. You can totally do this in other different ways, but there's definitely something to be said having sounds come through an interface. When I had a Roland Phantom X, I made a lot of beats on the Phantom X by itself, and it sounds amazing, but the only problem with the Phantom X was there was no way to get the audio out of the keyboard. So your only solution was to go through some kind of audio interface. Every single track that I have used the Phantom with, the MPC 2000 XL with, all just sound insane. Versus when I have it in the box, I have to do a lot of extra work to make that happen. I can get it there, but there's just something to it. I'm rambling right now, so let's get to the point. What do I have in the studio at the moment? The heart and soul of the entire setup starts and ends with the MPC 5000. When I'm working in here, I tend to start with this. I'll knock out my drums. I might have some samples because I have a ton of sounds that I'll work through there, and then I'll add to it. The MPC 5000 became the choice of the core because I'd never used the 4000 before. I started with the 2000 XL and the 1000. And the 4000, I didn't grasp it. And I'm not saying there's a problem, it's just I loved the way the 2000 XL worked. And the 2000 XL works very much like the 1000 and the 5000. So this became easy. The other huge benefit, as you saw from my last video on these two units, is the fact that I can start a session at any point with the 1000 and take a project file and copy it and bring it over here into the 5000 to continue working on it without a problem. And at this point, I can add in the synths, which this actually made this a great idea for me. The 4000 didn't have this option, This is great. There's a lot of times that I just reach for a bass in here and just add the bass, boom, the bass is done and I just move on. Versus me going through sounds and sounds and sounds and rotating. That gets frustrating after a while. So that is a great feature. I'm still exploring all of the analog synth sounds that are inside of here. And I'll get through all those eventually, but it's been a lot of fun working with that. But then, like I said, I work into 5,000 and I bang on tracks and get everything out. My keyboard is my Akai MPK249, or I should say MIDI controller. That it's interesting that the pads don't correlate to these pads, but I got past that. And I just kind of ignore it because I don't really touch these pads. I really just focus on using this. And the keys are connected via MIDI to this thing, but also via USB to Logic. And this is great because that doesn't mean that I have to sit here and switch back and forth. I literally can start a session, start working on something over here, knock it out and do what I have to do. And then I come over here and start finishing it off in Logic and it's already connected and I don't have to think about it. And it's been a great setup having it configured this way. And there's no conflict between the two because in the 5,000, if I can get the screen to work, you literally have to tell it on each channel on and off and which MIDI it is. And if you don't do that, it doesn't care what this is doing. So this is great. And originally, my audio interface was the Presonus IO Station 24C, which I've had for a couple of years now. This is a great audio interface. It's only a 2 in, 2 out. I recommend this one highly. The converters are good. The preamps are really good for the price. And the biggest benefit is I have transport control. So I can control Logic over there, here. And why am I doing that if it's all the way over there? Well, in reality, this screen is supposed to be connected, but currently I don't have it plugged in because I was in the middle of reconfiguring things. So this way I don't have to have the computer open. I could have the screen right here and it's duplicating it over there. So when I'm starting to work on something in Logic, I can work on it here. And then once I finally have everything tracked the way I really want it to be, then I come over here. The Presonus, once everything is configured with the audio interfaces, the Presonus, I won't be using the audio side of it anymore. However, I will be using this fader because this fader can still control any of the channels that is selected in Logic, regardless of if you use the device as an audio interface. Same with all the transport knobs and all the other buttons. They all still function to control Logic, regardless of whether this is configured. I'm still debating if I'm going to keep it over here or move it over here and have it sitting over on top of the console. Not too sure because in reality, I'm still going to be using that screen at times too. So I'm probably still going to stay living right here and I need to clean up the rest of the space. Excuse my dirty desk. In the Midas, the audio comes through the channels, and the beautiful thing about the Midas is this EQ section. The EQ section has your typical treble, high mid, low mid, and bass. But I swear to you, when I start to tweak the bass on this thing, it is glorious. It sounds amazing on here. And being a Jamaican guy, I love heavy bass. It's just ingrained in our culture. And I can use the group matrix to send the audio anywhere in this console. So I can always, send channel 1 over to the group matrix or send it into the master bus or anywhere else that I want to send it to. It's a beautiful experience. And then from here, it goes down here. What do we have down here? What I'm running for audio is 2 SoundWeb London Blue 326 audio interfaces with 16 analog ins and 16 analog outs. Because of the way these are configured by BSS, I can actually run up to 64 in, 64 out. If I go digitally, I can do 256 channels in, 256 channels out each. These things are monstrous. They run 96K at 24-bit. I can also run at 48K if I really want to. This is the heart and soul of everything. And the computer is slaved to the primary. That way, everything works without any hiccups. I'm loving these. I'm still working out the kinks to get everything working correctly, but overall, the sound sounds great. I'm not going to turn it up now because all the kids are asleep. I don't want to wake them up. It's been a brilliant addition to everything. Then we head into the brains of everything, which is Logic Pro X. Now, as you can see, I have 32 channels of audio. Now, the beautiful thing about the Dante scenario with this is that I don't have to worry about latency. Latency was a problem in the past for me for a lot of different things, but nowadays it's not so much of an issue. And this whole rig is great because I have it all configured to my 58-inch screen back here. So when I'm working on the Midas, I can literally just deal with both scenarios. And that's for tracking. Mainly, the purpose of this is tracking. It's not about mixing on it, because the reality is I don't need to mix here. I really just need to mix there. And that's okay. And it's not a confusion thing for me. It's literally, I owned this. I needed something with multiple inputs. I happen to also have the cards down there. And rather than me go out and buy some expensive thing to replace this, I already had this. So here we go. Why not use what I got? It gives me 10 inputs for the MPC 5000, the first 8 plus the stereo outs. And then I have room for the Phantom. I have room over here for another synthesizer that's on its way that we are not going to talk about right now. And I still have room for a little bit more. But the goal is to have everything configured in a manner that I can literally reach for the synth that I want that's connected to the MPC, configure everything, and move forward. You can leave a comment down in the comment section just telling me what you think would be a good keyboard for me to buy. I know the one I'm looking at. Don't want to talk about it just yet. It's probably pretty obvious at this point which other synthesizer I'm going to buy, but I know there's so many out there. So it'd be beautiful to find out what you guys think would be a good synthesizer to pair with the Phantom. There's a couple of contenders out there, but the Phantom is near and dear to my heart. I know it so well. I can use it with the MPC, or I can use it to run the MPC, which I doubt I would do that. I'd probably still do it the other way around. But the sounds are great. It has a great effects processing suite. Oh my God, that suite is amazing. And I used to run things through it. That's pretty much the setup. It's nothing too complex. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of other stuff around here just laying around. Eventually, once I clean off the couch, I'll showcase the rest of the room. But yeah, there you have it. It's not a complicated setup, by any means. And it works. And I love the benefits of it. I wish I could have cranked some stuff up for you to hear. Maybe we can do that one of these days when they're all at school or something and let you hear it. But overall, I have no complaints. Tell me what you think of the setup. Like, share, subscribe. Tell me if you would do something different. Again, like I said, it wasn't for me about this being my dedicated setup that I had to have. It was more like I had it in storage from a previous business and it didn't make sense to go buy something else. I already had this, so why go buy something else? Gear acquisition syndrome is a thing. Like, I literally go on sites and look at things that I want to buy and I'm just like, don't know if I really need it. And you really have to tell yourself to back off. You don't really need to go buy that right now. Because the reality is, if you actually look at your setup, you probably have everything you really need anyway. A simple interface is great. A great microphone, something in the $500 to $800 range is more than enough to do the vast majority of the work you're going to be doing anyway. And, some virtual synths, some virtual instruments. That's all you really need. It's just, I know what I like. And I happen to have a lot of it already laying around. So, don't take what I'm saying or any other YouTuber as verbatim that you need to go out and buy a mixing console to make this work, or you need to go buy this tool in order to make it work. It's not true. It's really about you. Find the things that work for you and go forward from there. And as you grow, buy the things you want. And don't keep buying nonstop, because then you'll be busy chasing for forever. Like, share, and subscribe, and join me next time on Petro Media Inc. Thank you for watching.